Maybe. Go live. Switch around. Turn on the light. Switch around. Make sure the light's on. This works. So done. And next. Alright. Alright, just a second, everybody. I'll get started here in just a second. Give me just a second. Alright. Go live. Alright. I am live. Alright, everybody. I am going live. Hope everybody can see me okay. Kind of going over what we're going to be reading here coming up. Not exactly at this moment. And I'm also going to be giving away some some books to people that are interested. One of the books that I will be sending is The 4 Disciplines of Execution. Okay, it's a great book. Like I said, I ordered a few books to be able to give away to people and send in the mail. A couple other books I'll be sending, and it all just depends on if somebody wants it or not. But one of the books that I really love is this one by Brian Carruthers, Untrapped. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to send some free books to people. You can get this particular book on Amazon or at briancarruthers.com. And he just kind of goes over. I know a lot of people are trying to figure out how to work from home. I know a lot of people are trying to figure out business. And I actually teach and coach a bunch of that kind of stuff. A lot of stuff, though, I learned comes from people that have taught me, such as Brian Carruthers and Rich Ellerman and pretty much Jeff Bell and people within my business. However, the books we'll be reading, as you know, we read The Dream Giver. The next couple books we'll be reading, I will be reading The Dream Giver for Parents. I know that right now with the kids being home and everything, it's very trying times, to keep your sanity with kids. However, I know a lot of great parents. They're doing a great job. So we'll be reading that one. The other books we're going to be reading, and I hopefully have it done, I'll read one a day, so you can tune in whenever you want. But I'm going to be reading the Go Giver series. And then I actually have several of the Go Giver series to give away. You don't have to do anything for me to send them to you other than inbox me and tell me what you thought. Those that have been faithful, staying with us the whole time, I really do want them to have something just because, they need they've been asking me where I get my information from and how I've done. However, the biggest thing, my information is not, the biggest part about me is not what I've learned from my mentors, yet their knowledge is priceless, but what I've learned through failure, okay? And I'm not afraid to admit my failure. And I'm not afraid to admit why I failed. The whole idea is you brush yourself off and you don't repeat the same mistakes. And when you don't repeat the same mistakes, eventually that's going to lead to success. Success is something that you're not born with, okay? Then the other thing I'm going to start doing is reading some stuff and quotes by Jim Rohn, and then also out of a book my friend got me when I was in the Marine Corps of a couple quotes. And hopefully it'll help some people, cope through these trying times and everything. If you want to watch, great. If you want to listen to it later on, great. If you have questions about it, you're more than welcome to ask. Remember, I can't see any of the screens right now because everything's pointed right at me. But we're going to start reading, like I said, The Dream Giver and stuff. And I don't care where you're at in the world. I'll send it to you. It's not a big deal. Just like I'm sending bread and strawberry pie. Strawberry pies, though, I'm going to have to drive to you. I had a couple people ask me, and I have not figured out how to ship them without them getting ruined, because that's not something I'm an expert at. So once I figure that out, maybe then I can send pies to people. We will be putting it on here at the live. I had Gracie with me tonight, but we had a setback. I had to fix the garbage disposal, which was a very simple fix. And luckily for us, I could just run up to True Value and get the the elbow I needed for my sink because of the garbage disposal. But I got it all fixed. That's why we're a little bit behind on making bread. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to give you a couple quotes by Jim Rohn. And I'm going to lead off with this, though. I'm doing this because these are hard times for a lot of people right now. And they've never thought outside the box before. They've been in a comfort zone for so long. Just exactly like the dreamgiver I read. You know, everybody gets in this area of comfort. And they go off of the naysayers in their life. And, you know, naysayers aren't bad. That's not who they are. But a lot of people, the very first reason why they do not stick with what they're doing is because they have a lot of people to tell them that you can't do it, you shouldn't do it, don't do it. And sometimes they're saying that to us because they don't want us failing, they don't want us hurting. Other times they say it because they did it and they failed and refused to get back up, and they don't want to see us succeed. So they say right away, oh, you can't do this. It's not possible. And then the others are people that they don't want anybody to do anything that they themselves should do but won't do. And if you're going to do something that they keep telling themselves, oh, I'm going to do this, but you go ahead and do it, they're extremely jealous. And 90% of the people aren't jealous, though, and they're really good people. Before I go into this, I always like to give a little bit of where I came from. And like I said, I started out in the Marine Corps, but before the Marine Corps, you know, I was a lifeguard. You know, I was told I could never be a lifeguard, believe it or not, because, oh, and I've never liked people telling me what I can and cannot do. And I don't like people telling me can't. I really hate that word. And the reason why is can't actually means won't. So people will not do things because of their own personal reasons. I joined the Marine Corps when everybody says, oh, the Marines are so hard, or, you know, I had every excuse in the world that people told me why I shouldn't join the Marine Corps. But it was my decision, and I'm blessed to have made that decision every day. I loved being in the Marine Corps. I got to do things that normally most people wouldn't be able to get to do. So, you know, I had a lot of naysayers telling me not to do it, or even to this day, oh my God, I can't believe you joined Marines. But then I hear the next person, well, I was going to, or I was going to do that. And they always have an excuse. Well, I was taught excuses are like noses. Everybody has one. And, you know, a lot of times they just smell really bad. Granted, that's not the exact quote, but it's the one I'm going to use. Other things that I did that people said I couldn't do was graduate from college. Oh, you're just, you know, you're so hyper, you can't. Nope, did that too. All right. It took the Marine Corps in order to control me and teach me patience in order to do that. Then I always heard everybody, you know, in the bar scene, I was always the bartender. Everybody said they're going to open a bar. Everybody said that, man, but there was nobody did it. And the people that owned them never expected to ever own a bar or nightclub. So what I did, no matter how much success or failure I had with it, I went out and I did the research and I talked to some people, and I did. I opened up a bar, and then we outgrew it. You know, of course, I learned in the bar business, in the entertainment business, there's a lot of gossip. There's a lot of drama. But it's the idea that I didn't listen to the drama or gossip, and I did what everybody said they were going to do. And the people that told me I shouldn't, or don't do it, or you'll never be able to, they're the only ones that motivated me, because I do not like being told I cannot do something just because somebody else wanted to and they didn't. So then I was told I could never open up a nightclub. And I was told, oh, this will never happen, you know, everybody, you know, there's not enough business, or there was always these excuses. Well, then I was told that once I started building the nightclubs, that it wouldn't be ready for a year and people are going to forget. We had people in there within 3 months. Like I said, if you listen to people, you'll never get anything done. In my business, I hear a lot of people, they have excuses why they can't do something, just like in the Marine Corps, why they didn't do something. You know, I have a lot of people that come up and give me all the negatives, but they've never once looked at what it is, the positives in store. They don't understand, so they're down on it. You know, they hear different things, oh, everywhere from pyramids to, you know, that would never works, and then when you find out why they feel it doesn't work, one of the reasons was because, oops, hold on real quick. Oh, that one's, oh, it's reconnecting. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. They just didn't want to do it. They just couldn't do it. And when you go in there and you start doing things on your own, people look up to you, you know, and you can achieve different things. So when I opened up my places, there was a lot of people that never thought I could do it. In the Marine Corps, there was something that was always a mystery to everybody, and that's what's called a school cut. Meaning, if you are enrolled in college, you can get out of the military a little bit early in order to go to college. And since I was already past my 4-year mark, within a year of that, I actually got, because there was an involuntary extension, I was actually able to get a school cut. That thing that everybody said, but nobody got. So, like I said, if you don't try, you'll never know, you know. But I've also learned in business, when people are going, they're selling vitamins, they're selling coffee, they're selling legal, they're selling anything in the networking, or even, they never stuck with it. And then they get this, it's funny because everything they do in life, they know they have to earn. They know it takes time. However, when you show them something outside their box or outside their comfort zone, you know, the first thing they do is they go on the defensive and, oh, well, I didn't make any money doing that. Well, how long were you in it? Oh, I was in for 6 months. I didn't make any money, or I only made a little bit of money. Great. You know, Brian Carruthers, my mentor, had a good reasoning for that. When was the last time you known a doctor to come right from medical school and, you know, right away start making money? It takes them about 3 to 5 years in order to get in the routine, in order to figure things out, you know, in order to learn again, you know. And that's every business. You know, if people think that, oh, if I'm not rich in 6 months, that means it's a failure. No, it means the person that's saying that is okay with failure. And that's not okay with me. So then, you know, you get these people giving you every excuse in the world why, like whether it's vitamins or whether it's any type of business, they give up. They give up because they, even though they're told this is not this takes time, you got to develop it. Nope, they have to go right back to cussing and cursing and accusing, and you know, there's no system out there that's perfect. But I'll tell you what, if you want to be successful in any business, you have to give it time. You have to give it patience. You have to understand that success does not come overnight. Okay, I mean, look at people in the Olympics. How hard did they have to train, and for how many years just to be in the Olympics? I mean, how many of the ones that were in the Olympics, how long did they train, and how long did it take for them to actually beat a record or make, you know, create a new world record title? You know, they have to be practicing nonstop every day. You know, I mean, to play for the NBA, how many years, and starting from high school, whatever else, did people play in order to get to the NBA? It didn't happen overnight. You may be good with your ball skills or, you know, dribbling, but in order to, you know, to make the money, in order to get on the teams, you have to practice. You have to sacrifice. I do know somebody that was going to be part of the NFL, but he worked himself so hard that he hurt his knees. And he was an outstanding football player, but because he hurt his knees, he couldn't, you know, he basically gave up on himself. Luckily that he had some positive people in his life to pull him back up. So anytime you're doing any type of business, and because it's not working right away, doesn't mean it won't. It just means you're not giving it enough time. Hence the reason why I always give the popcorn analogy. You know, popcorn needs exactly 3 minutes to pop. And I know you guys have heard me tell this before, but it's true. You know, but if you keep stopping that popcorn to do other things, it's never going to pop. It's never going to pop because you didn't give it the time it needed. You know, you weren't patient enough. You know, I mean, what's popcorn unless it's popped, right? But you got to pop it. Otherwise, it's nothing but a bunch of kernels. And you're not going to eat that. You know, just like, you know, people tell you don't do network marketing and stuff, you know, otherwise you're going to eat it. Well, you're right. You will eat it if you don't give it time. So my encouragement to people is don't listen to the naysayers out there. Don't listen to the people that, oh, I know all the facts. Great. But you're also the one that's holding everybody back. You're the one that's bringing people down to your level instead of taking a hand when people are inviting you up to theirs. You know, I choose to get around people that have been successful. I choose to get around people that, you know, they've had experience. You know, they do know what success and failure is. You know, I wish I could look at more people and look at all their failures. That way I knew I can succeed by not repeating what they have done. and it just makes us stronger. So never give up on yourself. When you set a dream and a goal, make sure it's obtainable. One of my friends a long time ago told me, "Oh, don't take goals don't mean anything." Well, actually, they do if you use reasonable goals. You're setting yourself up to challenge yourself. You're setting yourself up to hit certain levels, to do certain things, and you're setting those goals in order to surpass them. And they just got to be out of hand's reach. But if they're so big, you're right. A dream is just a dream if you don't have the knowledge, logic, and experience. And, I know everybody always says, "Oh, go for your dreams." No, don't go for your dreams. Go for what makes sense. Go for what you're able to do and build up to it. If you still see that dream, well, now you have the expertise to go after it. I'm not one of those that's going to be honest with people. People will fail. People will quit. Dreams sometimes are so big, you're never going to make it because you've made them too big and you don't have the experience or the knowledge behind it. But don't look at it as a bad thing. Look at it as a stepping stone to your future. So right now, I'll read a couple of things by Jim Rohn. And then, like I said, we will get into the Dream Giver for Parents, if anybody wants to listen. I will read the first 11 pages, okay? And then these are the books we'll be reading in the morning. And since we're doing them live, I will then have the repeat later on my Facebook and YouTube posts, okay? So right now, this is Jim Rohn. And he was a very, very talented, he did a great job, let's put it that way. All right, Jim Rohn, let's see here. Let me get into time management. All right. Time is our most valuable asset, yet we tend to waste it, kill it, and spend it rather than invest it. There's only one thing you can never get back in life, and that's time. We can no more afford to spend major time on minor things than we can spend minor time on major things. Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. Never begin the day until it is finished on paper. Learn how to say no. Don't let your mouth overload your back. Time is the best kept secret of the rich. Something will master and something will serve. Either you run the day or the day runs you. Either you run the business or the business runs you. Learn how to separate the major and the minors. A lot of people don't do well simply because they major in a minor. Don't mistake movement for achievement. It's easy to get faked out by being busy. The question is, busy doing what? So, in other words, you may put on the appearance that you're successful. Oh, you may. But how'd you get there? What did you do to get where you're at? How did you spend your time? So, all right. The first book, let's see. Let's get 11 pages knocked out here. A Parable for Parents. God created you for a higher purpose. This is the most important journey of your life. Pursuing your God-given purpose by Bruce Wilkinson. And this one's called The Dream Giver for Parents, okay? And we will read, I'll try to read 11 pages. If not, I'll stop at the end of the chapter. In the land of Familiar, not far from here, lived Mom and Dad and their only son. Ordinary had become notorious and Familiar for daring to leave in search of what he called his big dream. We always knew there was something wrong with him, people would say when Ordinary's parents were out of earshot. But to their faces, they said, it must be interesting to have such a special child. Mom was having a hard time because of her son. On the day she first held little Ordinary in her arms, she said, Ordie, my sweetie, Mommy promises to always keep you safe. Now she didn't even know where he was. The last time she had seen him, he was rowing in a small boat across the wide waters bordering the extreme ends of Familiar. Since then, she hadn't heard from him. He had said that he was on his way to some unknown land of promise. However, Mom had no peace of mind. What if this road led straight to the wasteland? That desolate region about which one heard only the most horrible tales. To him, it might be a dream. She would complain to Dad. But to me, it is an endless nightmare, and it's all your fault. Dreaming runs on your side of the family. She wasn't extremely mistaken. In his youth, Dad had a dream. too, but he had buried it so deep that he could hardly remember what it was. He didn't have the courage to leave familiar and embarked on the dangerous quest for his dream. The moment Ordinary mentioned his dream thing, you became excited. Mom had upbraided Dad when Ordinary announced he was leaving. You could have talked him out of it, but no, you had to start dreaming along with him. At your age, it's just ridiculous. If a parent can't dream along with his child, Dad answered, how will that child ever come to believe in his dreams? I wish my dad had been enthusiastic about my dreams. Mom had snorted and set out after Ordinary to stop him. However, when she returned alone with the news that Ordinary was determined to pursue his dream, she had changed her tune. This dream thing still is a bit of mystery to me, she said. But I do not know that my son had to get into that little boat and cross the wide waters. He just has to pursue his dream. Since then, Mom had only been torn of conflict emotions. She believed her Ordinary had done the right thing, but she was haunted by the fact that her son was out there in the unknown. When others in Familiar implied that Ordinary had lost his mind, she jumped his defense. But in quiet moments, she regretted that Ordinary had ever become involved in dreams. I would have refused to let him go, said her best friend, Mollycoddle Mom. If my child has entertained any such notion, I would have stopped her, even if I had to scream or cry or fake a heart attack. No daughter of mine is leaving Familiar. It's pure madness. Mom tried to change the subject. And how is little Molly? Is she still polishing teaspoons for Familiar kitchenware, or is it forks? But as soon as Mollycoddle Mom left, she threw herself on the bed, crying over Ordinary. That's where Dad found Mom when he arrived home from his usual job. He sat down beside her on the bed and put his arms around her. I don't get this dream thing, Mom sobbed. Explain it to me. After all, you were afflicted by dreams when you were young, weren't you? Dad was quiet for a moment. Then he replied, I think you also have a dream. Me? Whatever gave you that idea? I am an ordinary, respectable citizen of Familiar. You won't catch me getting into little boats, rowing off while my poor mother stands crying on the shore. But Dad wouldn't be put off that easy. Just think, he said. What made you set out after Ordinary to try and stop him? I wanted to be a good mom, Mom murmured. I'm concerned about my child's safety. Exactly, Dad said. That's a dream, too, you know. We are living our dreams when we become what we were born to be. When we're able to say, I am happy when I'm like this. Tell me, have you ever found a long white feather? Mom sat bolt upright. Why? Well, when I discovered my dream as a young man, I found such a white feather. But as time passed and I didn't do anything about it, my feather turned to dust. Ordinary also found a feather along with his dream, but he used his for keeping his dream journal, because he had discovered that he had no choice but to pursue his dream. The white feather is a sign that you did not invent your dream yourself, that it comes from the dream giver. I did find a white feather. On the day Ordinary was born, Mom mused. I've never understood what it meant. You know, I've never paid much attention to this dream giver talk. Yet I kept the feather. It should be somewhere in one of the Ordinary's albums. She jumped up to go look for it, and there it was, slightly discolored and tattered, still lying between the pages of the album. She took it out and gently stroked the photos of little Ordinary. I used to tickle him with this when he was little, she remembered. Then his dreaming streak is your fault, Dad said, laughing. I should have guessed. But this doesn't make sense. My dream definitely is to be a good mother and keep Ordinary safe. But his dream is to set out and expose himself to who knows what kinds of dangers. Our dreams are mutually exclusive. Perhaps you don't really understand your dream, Dad said. It is about being a good mother to Ordinary. That's clear. And when he was young, this meant cuddling him and looking out for his safety. But as he grew up, your dream should have grown with him. Are you saying that my dream of keeping him safe was not big enough for him? Asked Mom. No, not big enough for you, answered Dad excitedly. Yes, I see it now. When you allow ordinary to row away from you in pursuit of his dream, you are actually fulfilling your dream too. You are still being a good mother. It's just that your dream had grown bigger. It's a much bigger dream to let your child go than to cling to them. That's a dream big enough for a woman like you. But if that's true, why am I suffering so much? Mom wondered. Because nothing worthwhile comes easy. A dream that comes true too easily doesn't really bring any meaning into a person's life. Dreaming of keeping your child dependent is not worth much. But dreaming of sending them out into the world to pursue their dreams, that's a big dream in itself. Now you don't start preaching at me, laughed Mom. I've decided to use this white feather for writing about my dream and ordinary and how hard it is not knowing where he is. Suddenly, the feather in her hands was transformed. It became pure white and brand new, as if she had just received it. Looking back, Mom wrote with a white feather in her new dream journal. I realized that ordinary has always been on his way to big things. I remember him building a whole city in the mud in our garden when he was very small. Look, Mom, he said, it's a place where everyone can live well. A much better place than the land of familiar, and I joined him in all this. It never occurred to me that I was sharing his dream. Perhaps that's a good thing. She was remembering how mollycoddle, Mom, used to remark disapprovingly, No child of mine will ever play in the mud like that. When there was a knock at the door, it was mollycoddle, Mom. Her face was red with crying. I just don't know what to do anymore, she sobbed as she collapsed onto Dad's recliner. Little Molly won't eat. She doesn't want to go anywhere or do anything. She says she hates her life. She just wants to curl up and die. Mollycoddle Mom blew her nose. I tried to comfort her, reminding her of her comfortable job. But then she burst out that if it was never another knife in her life, it would be too soon. It was knives she polished, Mom remembered then. Little Molly was assistant knife polisher. But now she seemed to have become dissatisfied. And you know how difficult, Dad? Mollycoddle Mom burst into tears again. All my life I have had to protect little Molly from him. He says the child needs a firm hand and that he'll cut her off if she doesn't stop her nonsense. So I thought I might have a talk with you, because you have a problem child, too, and... He's no problem child, Mom snapped back. I have a dreamer child, and I have to come to understand only lately that following one's dreams is actually what we all should be doing. Perhaps this little Molly's problem. She doesn't like what she's doing. Have you ever tried talking to her about what she would like to do? Maybe the job difficult Dad arranged for her doesn't suit her? If she could do what she loves, she might get a taste for life again. Perhaps she has a dream of her own. I don't think it's anything that serious, Model Collie Mom said anxiously. And what's the point of asking her what she wants to do? For goodness sake, we're her parents. If we don't know what's best for her, then who does? Polishing knives is honest work. Mom suddenly had an idea. Would you like to read this? She held up her dream journal. I actually didn't intend for anyone to read it, but perhaps it will help you. She pressed the journal into Mollycoddle Mom's hands. No one spoke for a while as she sat reading. At last, Mollycoddle Mom broke the silence. I think I know what I have to do. I'll have to have a talk with little Molly about what she really wants. Just like you, I want to be a good mother, but I don't always know how. You'll learn along the way, Mom assured her. That's what we all have to do. The following afternoon, Mom was writing in her dream journal when Mollycoddle's mom appeared once more at the front door. This time, Lily Molly was with her. So much for dreams, Mollycoddle Mom burst out. Do you know what the child wants to do? She wants to draw. And you don't understand. She doesn't want to draw useful things like new designs for knives. She wants to draw other people's dreams. She has a white feather just like yours in ordinaries, and she thinks that she could help people understand their dream if she talked to them about it and then drew it for them. She thinks if people had a clear picture of their dreams, they would have more success at living them. Sounds like a wonderful dream to me, Mom smiled. Little Molly shyly drew closer to her. But there is no work in the land of familiar for the dream draftsman. sobbed Molly Coddle Mom. She'll never make a living. And what will difficult Dad say? He hates silly pictures and hates dreams and how his daughter wants to follow a career in both. Little Molly is a big girl, Mom said, although the tearful girl next to her didn't look it just then. She can decide for herself. If she wants to be a dream draftsman, we have to help her. I know of a dream draftsman who lives here, little Molly offered timidly. Perhaps I could go see him. I'll take you there, said Mom. I'm coming with you. We will see, said Molly Coddle Mom. The dream draftsman lived on a small street in the poor part of Familiar. His little house was filled with pictures. How did you think up all this? Asked Molly Coddle Mom, stunned. I don't think up anything, explained the dream draftsman. Dreams are created by the dream giver, who puts them into the right people's hearts. He gave me the gift of helping people see what dreams he has for them. They understand their dreams better if they have a picture of what they look like. He looked at Mom. You're Ordinary's mom, aren't you? He rummaged around and took out a few pictures. Ordinary asked me to draw his dream before he went away. He left this on here because he hoped you or his father would one day like to see it. The first picture was of little Ordie, just as she remembered him. In the mud, his dream city in front of him, Mom was speechless. I drew two more after Ordinary left. I don't understand why the dream giver had me draw these too, but perhaps it was because you will need them. The second picture shocked Mom. It showed Ordinary walking around a rundown city surrounded by thin, hungry-looking children. Yuck, said Molly Coddle Mom. Doesn't look like much of a dream picture to me. But see how happy he looks, exclaimed little Molly, as if she's exactly where he needs to be. This is the most beautiful picture I've ever seen. Mom took another look. It was true. She had never seen Ordinary looking so happy. Then she saw the third picture. Ordinary was standing on the wall of a beautiful city. Around him, smiling children were playing. This is possible, exclaimed the dream draftsman, if Ordinary follows his dream. I wish I could draw like that, said little Molly. The dream draftsman gave her a long look. Then he said, You will. He turned to Molly Coddle Mom, and you will too. Molly Coddle Mom blushed flaming red. I didn't dream a bit a long time ago, but... Mother accused little Molly with a laugh. You never said a thing. The two began talking excitedly to the dream draftsman. Mom stood there, hugging Ordinary's 3 dream pictures. Nobody noticed her leave and take the pictures with her. Back home, Mom put the dream pictures away with the white feather in her dream journal. Then she heard the front door open. She walked quickly to the door. It was Dad, and he had a stranger with him. The man was emaciated and looked sickly. His eyes were dull and his hands shook. Dad put an arm around Mom's shoulders. Darling, he said, this is Turnabout. I am afraid he has some very bad news for us. Ordinary? Asked Mom. Turnabout nodded, but did not look her in the eyes. He can't be dead. I know he isn't dead, cried Mom. I know we have known. I would have known. When I saw him last in the wasteland, murmured Turnabout, he was thin and his clothes were ragged, but he was alive. The wasteland, cried Mom, but he was heading for the land of promise. The land of promise? Turnabout laughed gruffly. Yes, didn't we all believe that the old story? Take it from me. I too entered the wasteland hoping to reach the land of promise. There is no such place. That's one of the reasons why I turned back. If the land of promise doesn't exist, where is Ordinary now? Dad wondered. When I last saw him, he was on his way back to the Valley of Giants, replied Turnabout. No one can overcome the giants. I've seen with my own eyes how they kill. Dreamers who are trying to defeat them on their way to the land of promise. But what about the dream giver, Mom asked. Isn't he supposed to help dreamers overcome the giants? The dream giver? Turnabout's voice dropped. I also used to believe in him, but he did not relieve my suffering in the wasteland or show me a shortcut out of there or remove the giants from my path. I sometimes think he doesn't care what happens to us on the road he told us to take. Perhaps he doesn't even exist. But you did say that Ordinary was still alive, Mom argued. There's still hope. No, I'm so sorry, whispered Turnabout, so softly that she could hardly hear him. I saw the giants, and I saw Ordinary. I can't imagine him having any chance of surviving the Valley of the Giants. But he was still alive, Mom insisted. That evening, Dad and Mom sat talking in the dusky living room. It's all my fault, he said. I never learned. I knew dreaming was dangerous. That's why I didn't go through with it. But then I go and encourage my son to embark on a crazy journey to follow his dream. I never should have trusted the dream giver. Mom said nothing. She sat paging through Ordinary's album, longing for those little boy arms around her neck. She felt like nothing she could say would make any difference. Suddenly, she remembered the dream pictures. She went to get them and showed them to Dad, telling him what the dream draftsman said. Dad sat looking at the pictures for a long time. At last, he said, "They're only pictures. They're not reality. The reality is that I allow my child to suffer through the wasteland and indirectly sent him on an impossible mission in the Valley of the Giants. Pictures are just pictures. But the truth is that I have cost Ordinary his life." I don't know. These pictures give me hope, Mom said. I believe that the dream giver gave the dream draftsman this picture to draw so we would know that Ordinary will reach the land of promise. I trust the dream giver. Before, he was nothing more than a name to me. But I have learned something through all of this. I've learned that he really is with us, and I believe he is with Ordinary too. We can't be there, but he is. Just pictures and empty talk, muttered Dad. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to write in my dream journal. I put Ordinary in your hands, dream giver. Do with him as you think best, said Mom. Then she began to cry. Suddenly there was a bright light in the living room, shining around them and through them. A voice said, I am with you. Mom and Dad sank to their knees. Dad stammered, Oh, dream giver, I'm so sorry that I understand, said the dream giver. It has been very hard for you letting go of Ordinary. But before he was yours, he was mine. And he remains in my hands, not yours. Is he safe? Mom's heart stood still. That is not for you to know right now. Ordinary's life story is between him and me. I want to talk to you about your lives. But if you don't trust me, it will be of no use. We're trying, but it's difficult, exclaimed Dad. I know, but the patient, be still and wait. They sat quietly and waited and waited and waited. The light began to fade, but they kept on waiting. Eventually the room was pitch black, and still they waited. There's nothing else for us to do, they thought. We'll just have to be patient. It became a very long wait. Mom and Dad received no news from Ordinary, and there wasn't a single word from the dream giver either. All they had to hold on to was the memory of his words. Be still and wait. That and the 3 dream pictures. One day, Molly Coddle Mom popped in. You're not going to believe this, she said breathless with excitement. Little Molly is drawing like a dream, and she is so happy. She hesitated for a moment and then took a picture from a large file she was carrying. And I don't draw too badly either. Mom looked at the drawing. The lines still were a bit shaky, but it really wasn't too bad. What surprised her most was the subject of the picture. Molly Coddle Mom had drawn difficult Dad with arms outstretched. One hand was beckoning as if inviting intimacy, while the other was pushing away. I realize what difficult Dad is really like, explained Molly Coddle Mom. His dream is actually to love people, but he's too afraid to let anyone come near him. She laughed. Now I must find the courage to show him this picture. He still hasn't made peace with our silly pictures. Mom stroked the drawing absent-mindedly, thinking again of Ordinary in his picture. I wish I knew what happens to dreams, she said. But Molly Coddle Mom wasn't listening. And this is little Molly's. It's far better than mine. Little Molly's dream picture showed Ordinary standing on a rock. In front of him was darkness, but he was looking back, his face to the light. A little ways behind him, little Molly herself was standing, her eyes on Ordinary's face. You realize what this means, of course, Molly Coddle Mom was saying. She wants to follow him as soon as she can, as soon as she has learned to draw well. She says she just knows that Ordinary now finds himself They need a dream draftsman. But we don't know where he is, Mom began to cry. We don't even know if he's still alive. I told Dad that I trust the dream giver, but sometimes I'm not so sure. Let me tell you something, Mollycoddle Mom answered as she hugged Mom. I don't know if Ordinary is still alive. But one thing I do know is that almost everything I know about being a good mother, I learned from you. You made sure that we went to see the dream draftsman, and little Molly says Ordinary was the first to show her the people can live their dreams. I think the dream giver has given us you two as examples so that we could see what the road ahead looks like. If I had to draw a dream picture of you, it would show you comforting me someday because I didn't know where the little Molly was right then. At first, Mom said nothing. Then she dried her tears and said, You know what? I think you've just given me a back to my dreams. Maybe the dream giver wants to show me that I can give other people the same love and care I gave Ordinary. So many people out there are hurt or broken and are in need of a little safety and security, and that's something I can do very well. Make people feel safe. That evening, Dad arrived home excited and relieved, holding a letter from Ordinary, sent from the land of promise. He and Mom read it together over and over and over again. My dearest Mom and Dad, I'm writing to you after a very long journey. I made it. I'm living in the land of promise now, watching my big dream come true all around me, and to think it all began with sticks and mud when I was just a little boy. I have realized that every single person has a dream, and that it's never too late to pursue it. I know you think your dream has died, Dad, but a big dream for the dream giver never dies. Your dream is here somewhere, just waiting for you to start living it, and if you don't pursue it, something important might never happen. As you will see, Dad, I'm sending you my feather. It will help you on the long road that lies ahead. It will lead you straight to a miracle that has your name on it. The same goes for Mom, who of course also has a big dream. I can't wait to see both of you again here in the land of promise. I miss you. All my love, your son, Ordinary. Seems like we better start packing, said Dad. Sure, let's wait a while, Mom said. Sure, but let's wait a while, Mom said. There's someone I want to invite along, but she isn't quite ready for the journey. Mom began making plans to persuade difficult Dad to allow little Molly to embark upon her dream journey. Who knows, Mom thought, perhaps when Ordinary and little Molly meet again. And she saw a new dream taking shape. Part 2. 7 Secrets for Raising a Dreamer. Dare to let your child dream of changing the world. Raise them with dreams that will bring meaning into their lives. Explore all the life areas that are good or excite them. Clear indicators of the made-to-fit dreams God put into his heart. Affirm your own belief in the child's dreams by exposing them to all the available information and experiences that will help them define their dreams. Make use of every opportunity to help them learn from role models, positive and negative. Encourage your children to rely on the dream giver as the only guide who will show them how to shape their dreams to fit in with God's big dream for the world. Remind them that following your dreams demands perseverance, tenacity, and creative problem solving. Secret number 1. Dare. Dare to let your children dream of changing the world. Teach your children that things can change. The same child whose thoughts you influence in this way eventually will change the world. Of all the wonderful things my parents taught me, one stands out above all else. They believed everyone could make a difference in the world. They taught me I could choose to live in such a way that after my death, people could say the world was a better place because I had been there. It is unthinkable that one could be born, marry, have children, and die without having done something, however small, to change the world for the better. She has reached her 30s, but she is still struggling for direction. Life plainly is getting her down. There are dark rings under her eyes. She looks tired. Once you get her talking, her bitterness becomes evident. My father always told me I was nothing and would never amount to anything. And now I believe it too. Consider this case. A young learner experienced one setback after another. He used to be an excellent athlete, but injuries from a car accident left him out of the action for 6 months. Then, just when he was able to start practice again, he broke his leg. The doctor said he could consider sports only after another 6 months. But by then, he almost would have finished school. Although this was a huge disappointment, he insists, I will run again. How could he be so full of hope, so certain? My mother gave me my new running shoes for my birthday. If she believes I will run again, then so do I. One parent crushed any dreams his daughter might have had. The other affirmed her son's dream. In The Dream Giver, I emphasize some truths about people and their dreams. Everyone has a dream. You do not have to create your dream yourself. Every person's dream is unique and important. Dreams are meant to be lived. Don't you want to guard these truths for your children? Do you remember the day your child was born? You just knew God had a special plan for this little person. This is your sense that God builds a life dream into each one of us to become what we were meant to be. I don't know how you feel about your child today. Perhaps you're excited about his sports achievements or her academic success. Perhaps you're worried about wrong friends or bad habits. Maybe you feel that you don't know your child anymore. The years might have dimmed your memories of what that first moment you held your child. Well, I challenge you today to remind yourself. This child has a dream. It is up to me or my child to create a dream for him or her, for our dreams come from God. But my child must discover his or her dream. The dream that the dream giver has placed in my child's heart is as unique as his or her fingerprints. My child was born to live this dream. Now ask yourself this. What part do I play in my children's dreams? Am I the kind of parent who crushes dreams, or do I dream along with them about the place God has prepared for them in his big dream for the world? Joseph. Joseph is certainly the best known dreamer in the Bible. He discovered his dream when he was still very young, but was only after many setbacks that it was finally realized, and only when his dream had become reality. Did Joseph fully understand what it actually meant? Imagine a newspaper reporter interviewing Joseph, Egypt's most successful politician and economist, the man who single-handedly averted famine in the country and indeed the whole region. This reporter probably would have asked, what would you say is the secret of your success? I pictured Joseph answering, well, you see, I had this dream. In fact, I have been a dreamer since I was a small boy. After thinking it over a little, he might have added, actually, the whole story began before my first dream. On the day when my father gave me that stunning robe. We know the whole story as the Bible tells it in Genesis 37 through 47. Being the first son of Jacob's beloved wife, Rachel, Joseph was his father's favorite. His half-brothers, however, had very little time for him. Who likes a daddy's boy? The fact that he tattled to Jacob about all their misdeeds didn't help. Who likes a tattletale? This was no happy family. In fact, undercurrents of jealousy and discord ran throughout. We can't whitewash the unfair way Jacob treated his other sons or Joseph's irritating tales. However, this also is the story of a father who loved his son and gave him richly decorated robe. This robe made Joseph stand out among his brothers, indicating that he was meant to be leader. Even before Joseph himself had a dream about being a leader, his father had recognized this quality in him. It's almost as if Jacob was preparing his son to pursue his dream. In this respect, Jacob made no mistake, because he loved Joseph. He loved Joseph so well. He had a notion of the dream his son was meant to live, which is why he gave him a dream coat, to prepare him for this dream. Jacob's big mistake was that he did not love his other children as much. love and dreams. Children whose dreams are overlooked often go astray. One thing is certain: without love, parents are incapable of teaching their children how to discover and live their dreams. Instead, one or more of the following might happen. You know about your child's dreams, but are unable to do anything about it. You make your child feel like a failure if he or she doesn't succeed in living these dreams. You ignore your child's dreams or even crush them. You force your child unfeelingly towards making his or her dreams come true. You impose your own dreams on your child. Most parents surely would answer, "Of course I love my child." But the Bible reminds us that we need more than natural parental love. Love should be complemented by knowledge and the depth of insight so that we may be able to discern what is best. Philippians I 9-10. Sometimes the lyrics of an old song also apply to parents. We love not too wisely. Wise love is what parents who want to make their children dreamers need. The 1996 film Shine tells the story of Australian concert pianist David Helfgott, who was a child prodigy. Unfortunately, he grew up in a dysfunctional family, which almost destroyed his dream of an international career as a musician. David's father, Peter, a Jew who lived during the Nazi terror, lost almost his entire family. Even though he survived the Holocaust, Peter was emotionally damaged in this process. He was paranoid about losing his family again, just like when he was a child. He loved his wife and children, especially the gifted young David. With a sincere but distorted love, he tried binding his family to him by ruling them with an iron fist. Their yard was even enclosed by barbed wire and a gate which only he had the key. David's sensitive young life was further complicated by his father's obsession with his talented son winning every competition, no matter what the emotional cost, with absolutely refusing to let David compete internationally. Peter was so determined to stay in control of David's dreams that he steadily denied David wonderful opportunities by forbidding him to accept scholarships studying in America and London. In spite of his love for his son, Peter Helfgott did not have the insight to realize that he was stifling his son's dream. When David rebelled at the age of 19 and decided to go overseas, his father cut him off completely. His demoralizing childhood, being rejected by his father, and the emotional strain of trying to prove himself as a pianist finally resulted in David suffering a complete breakdown. He spent the next 10 years as a broken man in one psychiatric institution after another, his talent lying dormant and his name forgotten. Without the love and encouragement of an exceptional woman who accepted David's broken spirit and eccentric nature and helped him rebuild his dream, David Helfgott never would have been able to shine again and inspire the world with his phenomenal talent. So what does wise parental love look like? In the first place, wise loving is willing to get to know, understand, and enjoy every child for the unique person he or she is. Be prepared to spend time with them peacefully without making them feel that they have to do something to impress you or that they are making inroads on your valuable time. I am reminded of the little boy who one day asked Father, an extremely busy businessman, how much he earned per hour. When the father at last gave his son a moment's attention, it was only to reply with irritation, "Really? What you have to understand is such things. Really? What would you understand of such things?" When the boy timidly pressed him for an answer, he barked, "Let's say $35 an hour." Over the next few days, the child offered to clean the swimming pool, mow the lawns, and do all sorts of chores for spending money. He even mowed the neighbor's lawn and washed their cars. He began delivering newspapers, too, and on one morning on his way out for his delivery round, he ran into his father, who also was up at dawn and on his way to work. The boy grabbed the opportunity to ask his father to wait a minute. He wanted to fetch something important from his room to show him. Impatiently, the father answered, "Just make it quick, I'm in a hurry." The child came running back to the already moving car. "Here's the $35 I've earned so far, Dad. Please, may I buy an hour of your time this evening?" Wise love will convey this message to a child. You are so important to me that I just want to spend time with you, to be with you in pleasure. That's why I have time for you. Darlene Marie remembers how we came to understand this with our own children. I had been asking the Lord for creative ways to really express love to our son and daughter, who were 4 and 5 years old. One morning they came running into the kitchen. David was bubbling over with excitement about something he and his sister Jennifer had been doing. As he talked, I continued preparing their breakfast, nodding my head and adding the occasional, "How exciting!" After several minutes, David abruptly stopped talking and accused me. "Mommy, you aren't listening to me." Turning around and facing them, I replied in a defensive tone, "Of course I am. I have heard every word." He let out a deep sigh before pointing out sadly, "But your face is not listening." It wasn't enough to lend them my ear. They wanted my undivided attention. They wanted me to be excited along with them. Bruce and I began to understand that giving eye contact and genuinely listening with our faces made our children feel loved and important. Dream with your child. So you love your children with all the wisdom you can muster. You listen to them and have gained some indication of the dreams that the dream giver has woven into their beings. Now you're ready to start dreaming with them. But it is right here where you're encountering one of our biggest problems with our children's dreams. They make us uneasy. Initially, Jacob was so excited about Joseph's leadership potential that he had a dream coat made for him. And when Joseph had his first dream of being a leader, Jacob must have told him, "There it is, I knew he had it in him." But the second dream Jacob found unsettling. In the first dream, Joseph saw only his brothers, sheaves, bow before him. But in the second dream, it seemed as if Jacob himself would have to bow before his son. This was too much for the old father. "What is this dream you had?" he rebuked Joseph. "Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you?" "What is this dream you have?" This is the kind of serious, even frightening reaction children often get from their parents and other adults. This is our way of warning them that such dreams can upset the whole apple cart. But we forget that playing around and experimenting also with our dreams is part of being young. Joseph certainly did not understand his dream clearly, but later on, in God's time, he would discover what his dream really meant. Often we approach our children's dreams with a touch of negativity that we confuse with realism. Perhaps we have seen some of our own dreams reduced to ashes. Perhaps we want to spare our children the pain of seeing their dreams shattered, or help our families avoid the stress of misconceiving dreams. The problem with such reality checks is this: we risk crushing our children's dreams even before they have had a chance to start dreaming. The well-known story of Monty Roberts, the famous American horse breeder, illustrates how adults, mostly with the best intentions, are in danger of crushing a child's dream by being realistic. As a young boy, Monty wrote an enthusiastic school essay about his big dream of owning a stud farm, describing in minutes details what his farmhouse, the stables, and even the training circuit would look like. Monty got an F. He didn't come from a rich family, did he? His teacher said. Where was he going to find the huge sums of money for this ambitious project? Nope, Monty should write about a realistic goal. Then the teacher would reconsider his grade. Fortunately, Monty was not about to let anyone crush his dream. He replied, "Sir, you keep your F and I'll keep my dream." Today, Monty Robert lives on exactly the kind of thriving stud farm he dreamed of as a child. When your children build an early dream world of modeling clay or mud, the best thing you can do is to become a child again and join them. Then a stone can become a car and a couple of sticks at a bridge. As they grow older, it is crucial to continue entering the dream world by sharing their fantasies. While playing and dreaming together, you are sure to discover how they fit into the dream giver's big dream. Along the way, children will discover there indeed are some dreams they must abandon as unrealistic. But you might just as well discover that your idea of what the realistic must change to meet God's idea of what is possible. The rest of this book is devoted to the many ways you can dream with your child and how to discover the ultimate goals of our dreams. This goal is nothing less than God's big purpose. He wants to change the world, And he gives us dreams so that each one of us can play a unique role in the great transformation. All right, we're going to stop there. We'll read number 2 tomorrow. Just wanted to get that going. All right, everybody. Hope you're having a great night tonight. Thanks for staying on. I don't know who's on right now, but to sum up that, you know, if people have dreams, that's great, but also make sure they will come to the realistic on their own. But we have to support our kids. We cannot protect them from everything as much as we want. You know, we have to sometimes let them discover for themselves. And a lot of times we just have fear as parents that, you know, we're going to mess up, where our kids are going to fail. You know, we don't want our children to fail. We don't want our children to feel useless or unhappy. And in a way, that's how we guard people. That's how we guard each other when we're doing stuff. You know, that's the reason why I always say, talk to your kids every day. You know, have some quality time. Be there for your kids. And right now with this coronavirus and everything going on, you know, they don't understand. I promise you they do not understand. But if you sit down and talk with them and let them know, you know, yes, this is a bad situation, but it will get better. If you let them know that you may not understand what viruses are now, and you may not understand why the world's on panic, you know, if you can just sum up that everything will be okay, that's doing more than what you can imagine. In life, we have to protect our kids. I had one family member that this was reminding me of. This is the first time I'm reading this particular book, by the way. I did have somebody in my family that didn't believe in me. That the whole time growing up, I was a burden. Made sure everybody in the world knew I was a burden. You know, always negative on me. And it had to be somebody that I actually had to hang around because I was young and I didn't have any other options. This is the person that basically told me I was going to grow up to be nothing. One of the biggest reasons why I thought, because I went to the public school system. The other is I'm a disappointment on the family because I personally am a dreamer. I am a person that thinks outside the box. I'm always striving, and we don't know if it'll work until we do it ourselves, and I never let that person keep me down. However, I also had an uncle that at one time basically told my other family member, you know what's funny is, as hard as you are on him, he's going to show us all, and he's going to prove us all wrong one day. He's going to go farther than any of us because he's not listening to the negative. He may have to be around the negative, but he doesn't have to listen to it. And if it wasn't for the help of some people in my family and some great friends, you know, I probably wouldn't be a dreamer today. I probably wouldn't have, you know, thought outside the box or take chances or take risks. I would have played it safe. But I'm not happy playing it safe. I'm not happy with the same old, same old. I thought when I was in the Marine Corps, the world was passing me by. I thought, man, I'm missing everything. I don't want to, you know, I want to see the new, the changes. Well, come to find out, I was moving faster, you know, in the Marine Corps than my hometown was moving. And sometimes that's how we look at our kids. We want the best for people. And not just our kids, people that are trying to, you know, create success. People that are trying, you know, we're not encouraging them. You know, we're putting them down. We're scared for them, or we're jealous of them, when in fact we need to be building them up. We need to maybe not understand what they're doing, but support them in what they're doing. Your parents are always going to be the hardest people on us. You know, family's always going to be the hardest on us. Why? Because they want what's best. You know, some of our best friends are going to be hard on us too, because they can't see a way that they're included with our success. Or they don't see, you know, they're so afraid of maybe losing us to what's going on. But we need to start encouraging more people. You know how many small businesses there could have been that people just never tried? And you know what? They could have made it, but because people kept them back, they never even tried. You know, I always give it an example that the richest place, the most powerful, richest place in the world is the cemetery. The reason why is because there are so many dreams that did not happen. So many goals that never got accomplished. So many fortunes that could never be realized. So many medical miracles that we could have today. But because people were afraid to walk outside their box, we're never going to have that now. Because they died not happy. They died never chasing or going after or attempting to do something outside their box. And we'll never know anything about those people anymore. We'll never know that somebody could have found a cure for something. We'll never know, the fortunes that could have been made. The lives that somebody could have saved. So even at times where it's hard, sometimes we need to suck it up and, even though we don't understand it, support those around us. Like I always say, go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. And sometimes you have to break away from family and friends in order to go around people that are going to celebrate you. Sometimes you're going to have to go and get around people that have done more than you or have had more experiences than you, because they've learned to pull people up with them. So, like I said, sometimes people have PTSD. We need to approach them. We need to, see what we can do for others. And kindness is always going to rule the day. All right, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Jansen. I will talk with everybody soon. I hope you all are having a great evening. Like I said, we'll start reading the other books later on. And like I said, I hope I don't bore you too much. So, you guys have a great evening, and I will talk with you soon. Have a good one, everybody. Okay. All right, just a second, everybody. I'll get started here in just a second. Give me just a second. All right, I am live. All right, everybody, I am going live. Hope everybody can see me okay. Kind of going over what we're going to be reading here